Remember, you can either discipline money and have it work for you, or you're going to work for money as a servant for the rest of your life. And you don't want to be a slave. At some point, you want the freedom of an abundant retirement. Hello, my name is John Convery, and Michael and I are delighted to be with you. Remember, we're all about helping you with your retirement preparedness. Our job is to help you thrive in retirement, not just survive. And we're delighted you've decided to join us today for Retire Yesterday, Live Today. And that's what we're going to talk about, how to get you ready to retire yesterday, live today. Right, Mike?
Yes, we're going to make sure you thrive in retirement, not just survive, because we got a very special show. John is now back, as you can see, so we're going to go over the 5 keys to hitting your retirement goals, because there are 5 key things that can help you have a much better retirement if you just start checking them off as you get closer and closer to your retirement days. And one of the #1 things that you can do is build a retirement savings plan, because John, on a recent survey, surveyed many Americans, 45% of them do not have any retirement plan, or they don't know where the money's going to go in retirement.
No doubt about it. You know, it's very, very upsetting to me, but most people don't realize the basic rule here is you've got to save money first and then spend everything else. If the idea is I'm going to save John extra money when I find extra money, really? We all know that there's no such thing as extra money. Water always seeps its level, as does money. If you have more money in salary, it's wonderful for 2 or 3 months. 5 months from now, you're like, where did that paycheck increase go? Where did that bonus go? You know I'm right? So at the end of the day, you've got to save money first. It has to be persistent and systematic, and we can help you with that. That's what we're all about here, is helping you make sure you have a blueprint for financial success in retirement.
Yes, that is step #1, saving money. And one of the best ways people can save money, and it is a doozy that many people don't take advantage of, that is taking advantage of their employer match, because that is free money.
No doubt about it. You know, most of you do have employer-sponsored plans, either a 403B through the PBSO or the Palm Beach County School District, or maybe through your corporate employer. Oftentimes, they incentivize you to save by giving you a match, a little bit of the carrot attracting you. Take advantage of that. That's 100% free money if they match you dollar for dollar on the first 1%. 100% return, tax-deferred or tax-free. You can't get that anywhere, folks, anywhere, and it's certain because your employer's obligated under the pension rules to make that match if they professed it in their 401k plan documents. So make sure you don't overlook that opportunity. Very simple. #1, take advantage of the employer match.
Yes, it baffles me that many people just disregard that match, because it is free money, like you said. And that segues into tip #3, and that is pay yourself first. Because if you're not paying yourself first, you're never going to get ahead in retirement.
Well, you have to, you know, essentially, and there's many offerings that today give you tax deductibility. For instance, if you put money in a 401k first, you get a tax deduction. The federal government, Uncle Sam or the IRS, actually gives you a little subsidy, an incentive to save money. You get the employer match, which we talked about a moment ago, which is oftentimes 100% free guaranteed return on your money, courtesy of your employment with your current employer. Beyond that, though, many people don't realize that the bi-weekly ability to have money withheld from your salary automates and simplifies and codifies your ability to save. We always say start with a benchmark that's achievable, preferably 10% of your pre-tax income. So if you make $80,000 a year, put in 10% or $8,000 a year. Forget the idea that you're not going to be able to afford it. You will be able to, because of the tax deductibility, and in a few months, we've always found, historically and anecdotally, that when you do that in several months, all of a sudden you don't miss the money. It just doesn't work that way. Your budget, the way you spend your money will acclimate itself to the task that you've put under it. Remember, you can either discipline money and have it work for you, or you're going to work for money as a servant for the rest of your life. And you don't want to be a slave. At some point, you want the freedom of an abundant retirement.
Yes, I love what John just said right there. You do not want to be a slave. You want freedom.
That's right.
Because freedom is what retirement is really all about. If you're not going to retire free, why retire at all? Because
no doubt,
we might be living longer than ever, and that is the 4th key today. If you want to get closer and closer to your retirement goals, you have to plan for potentially living to 100 years old nowadays.
Right. When, you know, Social Security first came out, you could get a paycheck at age 65, but the average person only lives several months into retirement. Today, with advances in longevity because of bioscience and because of healthcare advances, we are living longer as a society of Americans. And get this, the baby boomer generation, our generation, we're 80 million strong. We've been described as a generation the size of a pig going through a python. 80 million. And get this, 10,000 baby boomers are hitting age 65 every day for the next 17 years, like clockwork. The bottom line is you have to basically be prepared to take advantage of that employer match, to save that money first, and to cultivate a diversified portfolio that ultimately will shift into the direction of alternatives in a low yield economy, which means you have to seek investments that will develop a predictable cash flow that's sustainable long term so that you can really have enough income or cash flow. It's cash flow is king when you're retired, so that you can cover all your non-negotiable expenses and have some money left over for some of those indulgences like that Mediterranean cruise you've always dreamed about, or going to Africa for that high-end safari in the Serengeti.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Before we get into tip number 5, I want to reverse a little bit because, like you said,
right,
cash flow is king in retirement, because many people don't realize the strategies that get you all the way to retirement are typically not the strategies that are going to get you through. So it is an entirely different ballgame.
No doubt about it. You know, I see people come in all the time with their portfolios and saying, this is where I am today, this is my plan. And I would suggest to you that a portfolio statement is not a plan. It's kind of like driving on I-95 northbound looking in the rearview mirror. That's kind of dangerous. At the end of the day, a portfolio is just a momentary reflection historically of what occurred last month. It's not a blueprint or a roadmap for going forward. Are you with me? We specialize in developing that blueprint so you can have a plan that's actionable and you make adjustments along the way when you see the flashing yellow lights or the detour sign. You certainly have to make those adjustments, but you do have to have a plan, and it has to emphasize cash flow. Many people, I also find, traditionally diversify in stocks and bonds, but with bond yields at record lows, across the world, you can't make enough money oftentimes to create enough cash flow. The goal isn't necessarily the value of your portfolio or net worth. It's really how much cash flow, net after advisory fees, do I get to keep in my pocket? That's what I can spend. That's where you're going to be emancipated. If your cash flow is good, life is good. If your cash flow is lousy or not so much, no, that's not where you want to be.
Yes, he is absolutely right. And that goes into the 5th key to hit your retirement goals, because once you've gone through 1, 2, 3, and 4, you got to make sure you know what you're going to spend in retirement, what those expenses are going to be, and especially on healthcare, because many people undercut and do not realize healthcare might be the biggest expense of them all.
No, yeah, don't listen to the outlier thought that inflation is 2% and Janet Yellen, the chairwoman, isn't that concerned about it. The truth is, for American seniors, healthcare costs are inflammatory. And according to Fidelity and Pew Research, if you're 65 and plan to live a 25 to 30-year retirement, you may have, get this, unreimbursed medical expenses out of your pocket, not covered by Medicare, of up to $250,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. Do you have that set aside for the rainy day when a loss of good health pays you a visitation? Now, I hope you'll always be anointed with good health, but I can't guarantee you that. Neither can Michael, and so therefore we're appealing or petitioning you. You got to make sure you have a plan that accounts for that and is sustainable no matter good health or bad health. Markets rise or fall. You have to have a winning cash flow strategy, which is what we love to educate folks on here in the Palm Beaches and through this medium around the world.
Yes, you want to be educated because cash flow is king in retirement, and you want to have a free retirement so you can sleep well at night, because that is going to be the major thing you're going to want to do. Is you're going to want to sleep well at night, and you're going to want to make sure that you feel extremely free. This is the 5 steps to help you hit your retirement goals. I'm going to let John close out the show, but if you liked it today, make sure you like it down below. And if you have any questions, exactly, like it a lot, but if you have any questions, you can segue on over to our page and just message us directly. We'd be happy to answer them. I'm going to let John let John close out the show, but we will see you next week. Peace out.
Mike and I have been eating a lot of peanut butter today before we broadcast in front of our fireplace, so I think our tongue was a little stuck to the roof of our mouths. But forgive us. We're human just like you, but we are passionate. Do you get that? We are passionate. So at the end of the day, I always like to sign off on our radio program and on this show here on YouTube, Retire Yesterday, Live Today, with the paraphrase of the old Irish prayer. May you bear with me on this, and that it's simply this: may the wind be gently at your back, may the sun shine warmly on your face, may the low road that you travel, my friend, rise up to meet the high road on the horizon, and until our paths meet again, may you be anointed with good health. God bless you, and have a magnificent day. Goodbye now.